there is just nothing like the Challenge Cup final. Today, Super League Raw announced our biggest competition ever. Regardless of which two teams will be playing, Super League Raw will be there with our members to celebrate an epic day of rugby league at the home of British sports. Join the Super League Raw family at the Challenge Cup final on the 7th of June at Club Wembley. All members are automatically included as per their membership. But if you want your chance of being at Club Wembley on the 7th of June 2025, then get over to our website where tickets are just £2 to enter this prize draw. And perhaps the best news is that you will be supporting grassroots rugby league through Super League Raw in 2025. So don't hesitate. Buy your ticket now, support local rugby league, and maybe we will see you at the Challenge Cup final in Club Wembley. Super League Raw, it just keeps getting better. This production comes to you in association with the Bluebell Warrington. Situated in an 18th century building in the town centre and just a 5-minute walk from the HJ Stadium, the Bluebell is the perfect destination for pre- and post-game food and drink. The 2024 Warrington Pub of the Year is now the official home of Super League Raw on Warrington Wolves match days for both home and away supporters. Super League Raw are delighted to have agreed a members-only area, allowing our community to come together to discuss rugby league pre- and post-match. So set your course to the Bluebell Warrington on match days and beyond. You are sure to be greeted with a warm welcome and a cold beer. Super League Raw and the Bluebell, the perfect partnership in enhancing your match day experience. So good evening and welcome to Super League Raw Weekly. No, we're not live. This is pre-recorded. Do apologise for that, but some of us may be in the chat as the evening goes on. But we didn't want to spoil your Tuesday nights. We know you love a bit of Super League Raw Weekly. So the boys are doing this for you on Sunday night. There you go. There's Reggie, Steph and Joel. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Indeed. Right, okay. Let's get a bit of housekeeping out of the way first and foremost. Starting with this Bongers Bingo. Not long to go now until this one on the 22nd of March. Please do consider going and supporting the Warrington Wolves squad builder, one of our sponsors here at Super League Raw. Only £20 a ticket at the Halliwell Jones Stadium, raising money to send the kids to Australia in the autumn. All the details you need there, alex.chicken@sky.com. get your messages to Alex, and she will be delighted to have your company, I'm sure, for that one. Also, a big congratulations to Andy and Emma, who joined us at the Bluebell on Thursday night, and they won the first ever live quiz at the Bluebell. We will be back. We're working to a provisional date, ladies and gentlemen, the 17th of April, a Wednesday night. No football on that night, so hopefully we'll get a really good crowd in there. 17th of April, Wednesday night, starting at 7:30. Set your diaries now. Come and join the only Super League Raw quiz night in the Bluebell every month, and we, of course, will be giving our members that are not based in and around Warrington the opportunity to join us virtually that night as well. We did a check of the technology. It worked well. Obviously, we're encouraging those locally to come and join us in the pub to create a great atmosphere, but we do appreciate a trip from Hull down to Warrington for an hour and a half quiz is probably a step too much, and we want, of course, to include our members in that. Great night, Reggie, wasn't it? It was a good track.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, I really, really did enjoy it. Some great questions, Dave. Some great music questions.
Yes, well, yes.
Really got me thinking.
Yes, yeah. I mean, if you want to come to a Super League Raw quiz, you've got to be able to, do an association to a song. We had I actually thought it was one of my best ever, but Art Garfunkel, Bright Eyes. The question was, link the song to the player to the club. And of course, Bright Eyes, Watership Down, Rabbits live in burrows, Rob Burrow leads Rhinos. It was a great question. It was a stunning question. That's the standard, ladies and gentlemen.
And the thing is, it's not all, it not only does it test your knowledge of rugby league, but it gets you thinking outside the box as well. I hate that phrase, but it's just a great quiz. It really is.
It is a great quiz. A few Wakey fans out there. One of the questions was we played a horror theme tune because, of course, Wakefield Trinity to the horror theme tune. The tune was Halloween because, of course, you've got Tommy Boyd, who was the young lad that Jamie Lee Curtis was babysitting for, and of course, you've got a player called Myers in your team as well. You see. Quality stuff. Come and join us for the Super League Raw.
A real good night, yeah. Try and make it night if you can.
Good night, great beer, great company, great crack. Get yourself down there, 17th of April. Right, let's get the chat going. Of course, we've had the Challenge Cup weekend. Let's go through these fixtures. Starting St Helens 22, Leeds Rhinos 14. Steph will bring you in first, as me and Greg have just been talking quiz night. What did this tell us about these two sides? It's an interesting one, this one for me.
Yeah, I mean, two evenly matched sides, I thought. Leeds, yeah, you can see where Leeds' problems are for me in this game. I'm not sure whether the guys will agree, but I just thought Saints didn't really have to do too much to win this game. And Saints haven't been setting the world on fire. And it was actually quite a close result, but it felt like Saints were on top all the time for me. In this one, it never felt like Saints were going to lose it. But yeah, I think a lot of work for Leeds to do still.
Yeah, Joel, did you see it any different?
No, I think that's quite a fair assessment from Steph. Yeah, pretty much as it is. I think with Saints, they allowed a few maybe lapses of attention to detail. Maybe a bit of not concentrating fully, and that's something that we saw that they were very good at a few years ago. You was very hard on to get a single try or a point or 2 points against Saints. So that's something that they need to brush up on a little bit. But if they do, we might see a Saints of old resurgence, and they come back, much stronger. But yeah, like Steph said, it didn't take that much for them really. They never seemed to get out of second gear.
No, Harry Robertson, I think, got man of the match again. Another decent display from Robertson. But Rhinos, and we'll do predictions later, Greg, but the Rhinos have got Wigan next week. If Wigan, who will be hurting, of course, having gone out the cup again, we'll come to that in a minute. If Wigan do a number on the Rhinos, could be a long season. Of course, Gary Everington as well stepping down.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think... Yeah, as both the guys have said, I don't think Saints really had to do too much every time Leeds came back at them. I think Saints just put an extra kind of gear in to just move themselves away again. Yeah, it could be a long season for Leeds fans. They don't seem to have found that formula that takes them away from where they were last season just yet. A new coach usually brings new life into players who may not be performing well for whatever reason. I think the pack's struggling as well. To be honest, I don't think the pack's making the room for the halves to get involved as much as they'd like to be. So I think the game against Wigan is a pivotal game for both teams this weekend.
Well, we'll come back to that later. Steph, you said that Brad Arthur had the biggest point to prove. Is he proving any points to you thus far this season?
Not at the moment, no. One of the conversations we had in the social this week was who would you rather have? Would it be Cartwright at Hull FC or Arthur at Leeds? And I would take Cartwright all day at the moment. You look at, I mean, this was before the Challenge Cup result. I think what he's doing there and the team spirit that seems to be within Hull FC, and you've got to put that down to the coach. And Arthur at the moment is disappointing.
Yeah. Hull KR 40, Oldham 0. Never nice to be nilled, of course. I didn't fancy the half century in this. It didn't happen. Just a professional display from KR there in the hat. Of course, that draw will have already took place by the time this goes out. But well done to Hull KR. Salford 26, Bradford Bulls 16. By God, Greg, did Salford need that?
Yes, he did. I was talking to a Salford fan this weekend as well. I said they've got some young, good kids coming through. They've kind of, we've all know what's happened with Salford over the last few weeks. So they've got a few good kids coming through that are kind of, the lights at the end of the tunnel for Salford. Went to the game. I mean, we fancied this, or some of us fancied this. This could be the upset of the round after the week that Salford had. But yeah, they really, really needed this win. Some players have stepped up to the plate. Some players have come forward and put their name in the hat for first team contention for future games. So I'm pleased for Salford. I'm pleased that they've kind of, also that financially it's a benefit to them as well. So yeah, pleased for Salford that they managed to get through.
Let's just stick on Salford for a minute because we haven't had a chance to do that yet as a four. Greg, I'll stay with you. Mark Sneyd, obviously going to Warrington, announced on Thursday night, just prior to our quiz night. Perhaps the first game managing half that we've had since Lee Breers. Good business for Warrington?
I think it is. I mean, I much preferred it to have been 5 or 6 years ago, but that's me being selfish. But yeah, I think it is. I think it will free George Williams up as well. Sometimes we don't see the best of George Williams in some games because I think he's got too much on his shoulders. He's got to organise the game. He's got to guide the team around the pitch. He's got to manage the game sometimes. That's no disrespect to the other halves, but I think Mark Sneyd is a seasoned campaigner. He knows what to do. He's been a shining light in every team he's played for, from Hull through to Salford. He controls the game. He's got a great kicking game. He can convert a try. I think that he will grow to be a really, really key signing for Warrington this season.
He's got an 18-month contract, Joel. I mean, this came a bit out of left field, Joel, as far as Warrington was concerned. The fans, it broke Thursday morning. By Thursday night, it's done and dusted. Everybody asking the question over Leon Hayes. Leon Hayes now will have the time to recover properly from his injury. It was a bad one, and I think they just want to take the time with him. Steph and I was privy to some conversations at the Lee Warrington reserve game. That appears to be where that's at. But from a Leon Hayes perspective, he's now got one of the best kicking halfbacks at Warrington. He's got one of the best running halfbacks at Warrington. So for his development, it's only 18 months. We know Leon's got a massive future in the game. Will this improve? Will this make Leon Hayes a better player, having Mark Sneyd at Warrington for the next 18 months?
I think it has to, because had Mark Sneyd not come, and Leon Hayes would have then therefore been pushed to come back sooner than he needed to be. And Leon Hayes has got that natural ability anyway. So it's not like he needs to play for him to retain what he's got. It gives him the opportunity to learn from these great players. And it's a smart bit of business from Warrington, not just from a business standpoint, a commercial standpoint, and an on-field standpoint, but and not just Leon Hayes, for all the youngsters that are coming through and what they can learn. And what I really liked was it was a comment that Mark Sneyd made in an interview. He said he wants to compliment George Williams. And I thought that was a really nice way of putting it. That
he could have just sent him flowers, Joe.
Yeah, but I thought it was just great because it's the attitude. He has a great attitude. He's not going there thinking that he's going to be the man. He knows that George Williams is the man there, and he just wants to try and add what he can to the team. And yeah, as regards Leon Hayes, this is one of them niche moments where he's gonna really come on board for this. And I think he's gonna, when he does get injury free and then he has to earn his spot back, when he does, I think he's gonna keep it.
Well, we will find out on Super League Raw because, of course, Leon is an up-and-coming in-conversation guest of ours. So it'll be interesting to see where his headspace is at when we have that sit-down chat, which is on its way very, very shortly. Steph, obviously, in terms of Sneyd, good game manager. I mean, again, something that, let's be fair, Lee. I know Lee was sniffing around Sneedy, we know that, and it's something that Lee needs, really, isn't it? I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Gareth O'Brien has started the season really well, but I think Sneed's a level up from Gaz, to be fair. And you've said for a long time that you've really needed a pinpoint kicker at Lee for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the kicking game is the main thing with Sneyd. Defensively, I think he can be a bit weak, and we've seen that a few times this season already. It's early doors, but there's no doubt Sneyd's one of the best game managers in the game, but by a mile as well. So it will take a lot of pressure off Williams. I think it's what Warrington need? Probably not. I would say I think Warrington need more grunt up forward, if I was being absolutely brutally honest. But do I think Sneyd's a great signing for Warrington? Absolutely. I think he can change mentalities there, culture maybe a little bit, and the winning mentality. I think that's what Sneyd brings, and I think he's a great signing for Warrington.
Just on the topic of Steph's grunt there, Zane Musgrove back in for Warrington against Widnes. Greg, your thoughts on Zane against Widnes?
A work in progress. Still needs to improve. Still not packing a punch, I don't think. Scored a try, which will do his confidence no end of good. I still think he needs to.
Oh dear Lord! Yeah, go on.
Am I being heckled?
Go on, carry on.
He's had to fight. It's taken injuries to give him his chance this season, and I like that about Sam Burgess. He sees where there's an issue and he deals with it. I think Zane, if he gets a good run in the team now, has got to prove himself. He didn't quite do that, I don't think, against Widnes. It was a perfect opportunity for him to do that. But I still think maybe a little bit more confidence. The trial do him good. He needs now to perform. He really does. And this is the opportunity now with the injuries to the forwards that we've got.
Yeah, I mean, look, Steph and I were at the Lee Warrington reserve game. Tom McKinney, he's been outstanding in the reserves.
I thought Max Wood, when he came on, Max Wood had I'm a fan of Max Wood. Pound for pound, he packs a punch. And, he scored the try that kind of ended Widnes's kind of resistance, if you like. Widnes played really well, but they just ran out of gas with 15 to go. I thought Max Wood was excellent. I would persevere with Max Wood. I really would.
Yeah, but like I say, Tom McKinney in the reserves, mate. If in a Noah Stevens kind of way, it's saying telling Tom McKinney's ready. He's ready. He needs to be birthed in he's playing some sparkling rugby league. Let's stay on Salford though. So Nene McDonald, Steph will be back in a bit. Let's have a quick chat about Nene. 3 clubs we believe are in the mix. One of them, Lee. We know that Ben Nakumarai is gone, opening up a quota spot. So I was expecting by now an announcement. Now we know that Tom Amone is rumoured to be unsettled in Australia and the door is open at Lee. Is that going to happen? Is it Nene? One thing's for certain, we're expecting a quota player to hit Lee probably this week. Smart money probably on Nene McDonald. We know Castleford are in for him. Joe, we've got to discount Oldham. He's not going to Oldham, is he? He's far too good for that.
Yeah, I think I'm actually a bit on the fence with this one because Nene, I think he expects or thinks that he deserves a certain wage, possibly down to previous years, where he probably maybe thinks that he needs to be paid quite a bit more than he has been. For him to move, he's got to understand that if he's to stay in Super League, he can't just ask for the money that he wants. He's going to need to take what he's given, because otherwise he could find himself in the Championship.
It'd be a waste of talent, though, wouldn't it?
It would. It would. And this is the thing. You know, we all know he's a great player. We know he can score, he can defend, he can do everything that he needs to do. But the only team that are going to be able to afford him what he wants and what he can do is Lee. They've got that cap space there, and obviously the money's there. I think Oldham would be too much of a downgrade, and that's no disrespect to Oldham. It's just that, you know, he's played in the top flight of any league he's played in, and he's still young enough to be able to produce the goods. But he just needs to work on both parties.
Yeah, I mean, this far out, Steph, I mean, obviously, Nene's destination might be announced by the time this goes out, but from your perspective, chances percentage-wise of him going to League as we record, what would you give a percentage as?
I'd say probably 50-50. After the game today, Lee's outside backs look really strong. You know, we've got Tessie New, we've got Amaya Hanley, who had a great game today, Keenan Brand, Bailey Hodgson, you know, and then Josh Charnley to come back as well.
Is it true that McIntosh has dislocated his shoulder?
Yeah, it was a Josh Charnley-esque try today where he went over and dislocated his shoulder by all looks of it, which was a real shame, because he was playing absolutely superb, McIntosh, when he came on.
That season ending, do we think?
We'll see. I mean, the problem is with dislocations is they can either pop back in or you need surgery. It's one or the other. So we'll see what happens with that one. But if you're going to use a quota spot at Lee, I don't think Nenny McDonald is the quota spot you need. I think Lee need a bit more grunt going up forward.
It could be Tom.
It could be Tom. It could be, or you would say a halfback. You know, Gaz O'Brien's done a great job for Lee, but he is susceptible to head injuries. This is not the first time we've seen Gaz O'Brien go out with the HIA. So this is always the concern for Lee, in terms of, yes, we've been really good and it's been brilliant for the last couple of seasons, but if we're going to go to the next level and compete with your OKRs, your Wigans, your Warringtons, your St Helens, then we need a top class halfback. So this is where a quota comes so invaluable, and this is where you got to be really smart with how you use them. So for me, it depends, because the other side of this is, do you get dispensation? Is Nenny McDonald coming on a non-quota because of?
We haven't heard that, though, have we? We haven't heard that.
This is what I mean. So this is what matters. If that is if we do get him, it doesn't count a quota, then absolutely you'd sign Nenny McDonald. And obviously Lee were the club that brought Nenny to this league in the first place. So, and obviously the PNG connection, no one can doubt that, you know, with Lachlan Lamb and Adrian and Edwin as well. So it kind of does fit. Whether that's what Lee need at this moment in time, the jury's out.
Well, he was, I think, I'm going to have a guess here. I think he was 25 in 25 appearances, 25 tries in 25 appearances in the Championship. Then McDonald at Lee, not a bad return. Greg, you and I probably crying in our beer. It would appear that Tim Lafay is off to Australia, back home to Australia. Unlikely we're going to see Tim again. I think it's only right and appreciate what a great player Tim Lafay has been in Super League at Salford. I mean, if that is the last we've seen of Tim Lafay, on behalf of myself, and I'm sure you'll chip in a minute, it's been a pleasure watching him. I mean, he's offloading some of the greatest offloads. I mean, Dion Cross. I mean, talk about us crying in our beer. I think his wingers are crying in the beer. What a delight he's been, hasn't he, Tim Lafay?
Tim Lafay has been one of my favourite non-wire players, I think, in the history of Super League. He's been absolutely superb. His skills, his speed, his strength, his skills, his ball handling skills. I would say he's as close to probably the perfect centre or that you're going to get, because his defence as well. I thought he was magnificent. And, you know, for Salford to have kept him for so long, when other players like Brodie Croft have kind of been poached and gone elsewhere, I think Salford have done really well to keep hold of him. One of the best centres I've seen in Super League.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Absolutely fantastic.
Joel Paul Rowley says probably one of his greatest ever signings. Would you agree with that?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah, and by quite some distance probably as well. I think he's I always wondered like if his hair would have ever slowed him down, but he just streamlined him for some reason. So he defies a lot of physics, doesn't he? But yeah, what a great player to watch. Love watching him.
Steph, better with or without the pineapple?
Debatable. No, I think haircuts aside, let's say how good Lafayette has been. He's been absolutely outstanding. I think he's probably one of the only centres that could probably get in most Super League teams, I would say. He's been absolutely incredible. And let's not forget, this is a man who probably he nearly walked away from rugby, and Salford brought him back. And he's been absolutely outstanding for Salford. Outstanding.
Rugby League was the winner in that decision, Mr. Sale. And then the other one, I mean, we're in Dion Cross potentially to FC, which is a surprise considering how well Barron and Martin are playing.
That won't happen.
No, I'd be surprised if that happened. And Hankinson as well. Good utility player, Chris Hankinson. Do you know what? I've got Castleford in mind for Hankinson. He'd fit in there because I think what Castleford need is they need players that are versatile, good and versatile. And I think that Hankinson ticks all in boxes. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens there at Salford this week. We won't labour the point. Let's move on. Let's keep going through the games. But well done to Salford, and congratulations to the long-suffering fans of Salford. At least they had something to smile about on Friday night. Was it Thursday night? Friday night, wasn't it? What's Friday?
Friday.
Right. Catalan Dragons 46, Featherstone 18. Expected that. We'll move on. Widnes 16, Warrington 26. They gave him a fright, Greg.
Certainly did, mate. Played really well. I think they ran out of gas. As I said, with 20 to 15 to go. Warrington made a lot of mistakes. Obviously depleted in the pack. Widnes have got quite a decent pack this year. But yeah, it was quite twitchy for Warrington fans, especially when they scored those two quick tries after half time. But Widnes fans can be absolutely, can be delighted at the performance their boys put in. They pushed us all away. As I say, we made a lot of errors. Some players didn't cover themselves in glory on the day, but a win's a win at the end of the day. So I will take that.
In Challenge Cup Rugby League, it's about being in the hat.
And Widnes players were playing for pride. It's a local derby. We've not played them for quite a long time in a meaningful game. And it was touch and go for a little while there.
Over 7,000 attendance as well, which is brilliant.
I mean, there's certain games, isn't there, lads, that there's just certain games, and Widnes Warrington is one of those games. It's a game that goes down in history. There is a rivalry there. Unfortunately, Widnes not playing the trade in Super League. But yeah, you're right, Steph. For 7,000 to go down there, great effort. But yeah, Warrington in the hat. And of course, Sneyd not cup tied because he didn't play in that game against the Midland Hurricanes. So Mark Sneyd will be available for the quarter final. Lee 62, Batley 4. We'll come back to the order in a minute. 62-4. Comfortable win for Lee. We don't really need to say too much about that, I don't think, gentlemen. We'll move on for pace reasons. Well done, though, to Lee. They're in the hat for the next round. Right, let's start with Wigan against FC. 22-26. What a game of rugby league. Everybody outside of Wigan will have loved the result, and they will have done. We put a post on the Wigan Fans Forum, which was very well received, where he said, we pay respect to Wigan's run as Super League run. We do. They've been a champion team, phenomenal rugby league, and I invited them to lose with grace the way that they win with grace. And actually, they all pretty much did exactly that, which is to their credit. They can't win everything. It's, and this isn't anti-Wigan. Nobody is giving Wigan more praise than this show. Nobody. But I think for the rugby league, variety keeps sport alive. It's the oxygen that sport needs, is variety of winners. We're going to get a new name on the Challenge Cup this year, not necessarily League Leaders Shield or Super League. That, of course, that is still to be written. But let's pay tribute to FC. Great start to the season. Incredible. Steph's already mentioned about his respect for Cartwright, Greg. It's unbelievable. The difference in Hull FC. Nobody would have put them down to be in the league position that they're in, and nobody would have put them down to go to Wigan. And let's be fair, second half, caution to the wind. I mean, that one where Caesar kicked it over Marshall for just playing with abandon, and it paid off. They just were wonderful to watch in the second half.
Yeah, and Cartwright, I think he's brought confidence back to them. Confidence that was sadly lacking last year. They were lucky that there was a team that was worse than last year in the league. Didn't get the results he deserved. But yeah, I think Cartwright has instilled some discipline, instilled some kind of confidence in them as well. The confidence must have been rock bottom at the end of last year. Had to be. They've had a really decent start. And belief, I think, is a word that kind of he's brought back into that team. The belief that they probably went back to the result last year where they beat Wigan at home. And he's probably instilled that same kind of belief. You did it last season. You're a better team this season, so why can't you do it this season? I think he's done a phenomenal job in the time he's been with them.
We paid tribute on an edition of Captain's Run to Lewis Martin, Joel. Lewis Martin is developing wonderfully well, isn't he?
He really is. He really is. And we spoke before about how different players have worked well or better or worse in some cases under some coaches, and clearly this relationship here is working really well. Is it down to Cartwright's coaching? Is it his management style? We don't know, but what we do know is they found a recipe for success. And I'm really pleased to see that FC have really taken this year by storm. They've not looked back from last year, and the fans must be absolutely delighted. Them fans that have been there week in, week out, loss after loss, and now they're reaping the rewards of the patience. And it's great to see that it's some really good rugby.
Incredible rugby. And before we came on air, Steph, you paid tribute to John Asiata's role in this, in terms of gaining the space required for the likes of Caesar to go and put his footprint on the game. Do you want to just talk on camera with regards to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Caesar has been probably a letdown for a lot of Leeds, a lot of Huddersfield fans. What we're seeing from Caesar this season is incredible, and it's the classic halfback creating space. But the main thing for me is John Asiata. And people go, "Oh, you're a Leaf fan talking about John Asiata." Look at the space he is making for Caesar, and look at the way they're playing. Their expansive play is incredible, and they're doing the balls over. They're doing the Lachlan Lamb. It's exactly the blueprint that everyone has seen from Lee for the last two seasons, and that's because of John Asiata. He makes that space for Caesar, and he's giving him that space to be creative. And from a halfback, this is your bread and butter. This is what you want. It's absolutely brilliant to see, and it's so good to see Hull playing expansive rugby. And what can you say about Martin? 3 tries in this game again. Who scores a hat-trick against Wigan?
Well, not just that, Steph. Who gets round Ben from French like he did?
Exactly.
I mean, that try,
yeah.
the fact that he backed himself and went round French, that
turned him inside out. It was brilliant. I mean, again, the Wigan fans probably won't want to see it, but how good is that for the rest of rugby league to see that it's possible? It's possible to beat Wigan in their own back garden, and that should give every team confidence that it's doable. But for me, it's about the style of rugby Hull FC are playing.
Yeah. No,
And that comes from the coaching methodology and how, and I think they mentioned it actually. To be fair to them, I mean, the commentary was awful, but what Kev Brown did mention on the commentary was the style and the way you have to beat Wigan, and you have to play expansive rugby, and that's exactly what Hull did. They chucked it about, and they played expansive, brilliant rugby league, and that's what beat Wigan at the end of the day.
Yeah, outstanding. Congratulations to Hull FC. And then finally, Huddersfield 12, Wakey 22 today. Joe, we will start with you. Ahead again at half-time, lose the game again. I don't know if you've had the chance to watch the Luke Robinson press conference. For the first time, Luke looks a little rattled.
He does. What he did do was he took some accountability for it, which is good. It's clearly not all down to him, as some of the fans were saying online. That's not the case, because otherwise they wouldn't be going out in the first half and beating every single team we've played so far by half time.
Yeah.
We know it's an 80-minute game. Is it down to the fitness? Possibly. We harp on about injuries, and I don't want to keep harping on about it. It does play a factor.
But on that, Joel, if I may, though, to be fair to Luke, he did say, how can it come down to fitness when we're conceding tries at the beginning of halves? It's not the end of halves, it's the beginning of halves we're losing tries. So how can it be fitness? It's a good point.
Well, the thing is, you counteract that with, there was 3 tries unanswered in the second half. And, okay, like the defence has been good in the first half, as you've seen. Is that tiring them out? What's happening? Are they not finding the attacking spark to get that further ahead that they need to do? It's a fair point, but it has to be part of it. It can't not be. There's no chance you can be ahead of every team so far and then come out in the second half and just look like a completely different team.
Yeah,
that can only tell me that it's either your fitness or your game management, or you're just not listening to what Luke's saying.
I mean, really, the message, same again, lads. They've been ahead in the first half. Every game, it's a simple message, same again, lads. It's not hard to follow that. As a Giants fan, I've been saying that the results have not been reflective of the performances. I think that they've looked better. How long can I keep saying that, though? How long can you keep saying that, though? It's it's one of those now where, like I say, Luke in his press, and what does again, people, if you haven't listened to Luke, go on YouTube, go Huddersfield Giants, you'll be able to listen to Luke's press conference. He sounded like a man who didn't have the answers today, which again, I think he'd want to. I think if he could replay his press conference, he probably would, because he just sounded today like he just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, he said that he's tried different combinations. He's trying all these different things. I think I do know what part of it is, but I don't want to say that on live. But what I do think is that is Luke. He bleeds claret and gold, just like me. He really does, and he wants nothing but success for the club. I think when you look at the performances that you have, and we've played like a top 4 team in the first half, like you said then, Dave, at what point do we then say, right, it's okay to play well, but whether you lose by a point or lose by 100 points, it doesn't matter. The points are not on the board, and we're at the bottom of the table pretty much.
Yeah.
So at what point do we say, right, now we need to start winning? I think Thursday's game is a must-win for us, because if not, there's going to be some serious questions asked. And then is it going to start coming on to Luke, because is he not coming down hard enough on his players? Has he got too many friends within the club? I'm not saying that's the case. What I actually think is, like I said, I don't want to air what I actually think. But it's a club that has good ambitions, and clearly that we're a far better squad than we were last season. You look last year and the previous years, we've not started well, we've not finished well. We've sneaked in a try when other teams' defence has been laxed. We've not done that this year. We have found creativity, but it's not carrying for the full 80, and we're getting unstuck all the time.
I know, again, whether this is what you can't say or not, but I can go there because I'm reading it and I'm seeing it. A lot of people questioning the MD. A lot of people have come online today, and they're going for the. So at the moment, I think Luke is perhaps not enemy number one. I think the MD is, and that's interesting. We'll keep a close eye on that. I'm happy to leave Huddersfield there. Joel spoke about his club. He's the best person to speak about him. What I'd like us to do, though, is pay tribute to Wakefield Trinity. I mean, Wakey fans out there, the Trim Brigade, up the Trin, as they say down there. What a remarkable start to the season. They're in the hat for the quarterfinals. We saw against Warrington, Greg, they can go toe-to-toe with, I'll put it in inverted commas, a big hitter. Warrington haven't shown that really this season. But, let's put the inverted commas up there. They went to the EHJ. They destroyed Warrington. Absolutely destroyed them. They've now got past, scraped past, but that's cup competition. They've scraped past Huddersfield today. And they'll go into that quarter-final draw. And again, people will already know who they've got. They'd like a favourable draw. Of course they would. But they're a side that will go into that quarter-final, wherever they've got, Greg, with great confidence. And they'll go for a home game.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, with all due respect to Joel, and he speaks eloquently about Huddersfield, you have to give praise to Wakefield and the way they've started this season.
Absolutely.
The games that they've won, they've gone to Leeds and won, they've come to Warrington and won. They kind of have played a waiting game in the first half and then really played some good rugby in the second half. Really impressed with the way they played Warrington last week, was really impressed with their win at Leeds. I think, Wakefield, now Wigan have gone out the competition. I don't think Wakefield, especially if we get a home draw, will fear anyone. I really don't.
Well, on that,
I think it's going to take a good, solid performance to beat them in the cup.
On that topic, I mean, I think probably Lee and probably KR, but the two teams now that are looking at it the way they've started the season and thinking, hey, here we go, we've got a big chance here. But I think what we've already seen is that actually they're pretty much all. I mean, again, this is rugby league. I think all of the teams that are still in it, we put Wigan rightly so on a pedestal, quadruple champions. This is a massive development in the Challenge Cup. It really is now game on right across the board. Wakey will be fancying the chances, of course they will. But Steph, going back to what Joel said, Wakey the complete opposite. Huddersfield seem to be getting weaker as games go on. Wakey seems to be getting stronger as games go on. It's a remarkable job that Darryl Powell's done there with his recruitment, selection, everything about Wakey at the moment. They should feel confident going into that quarterfinal, shouldn't they?
100%. And this is the Lee 2023 blueprint for me. Who would bet against Wakefield going and winning the Challenge Cup final now?
Absolutely.
It's completely on. The Wigan result has completely put the cat amongst the pigeons with it, in terms of the Challenge Cup. And that's fantastic for the game. We should all be celebrating. I mean, what a result that was for Hull FC. What a game, And to be, if you're in betting on BetSteph, you'd have backed Hull FC all the way at half time there. But you got fantastic odds. But no, going back to Wakefield, absolutely, they can do what Leeds did in 2023. 100% they can. They've got a brilliant side. They've been performing better than what a lot of people thought they would do. I always said that Wakefield would do really well this season.
We all did. And I'll tell you what was quite interesting. When we gave Wakefield credit after the Warrington game on their fans forum, one of the fans of Wakey said, and everybody's writing us off. And I went, go and check out our shows. We didn't. And to be fair to the Wakey fan who has said that too, didn't come back. He knows that Super League Raw, right from the get-go, said we felt that Wakey had the squad that was going to be in and around top of tier 3. That'd be 9th, maybe 8th, maybe 7th. We didn't fancy him for players, but hey, if they can carry on the way they're playing, injuries serve them well, they stay clear of injuries. That's not beyond them. Albeit even Darryl Powell said, you know, he'd take eighth in his a consolidating season and push on next year. But I have to say, I think Wakefield Trinity, like Lee before them, like Salford last season, I think Wakey in the neutral category of rugby league supporters will be winning a lot of friends. And what I would ask all Wakey fans to do is to embrace that, okay, maintain that. You know, I always say this, you know, your team on the field is performing so well. Off the field, be the image of your team on it. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying that is so vitally important.
They are. The thing is that this is the thing. Wakefield are
absolutely.
And I've said about the Lee blueprint. That's exactly what Wakefield are doing. Their home attendances are amazing. You know what the chairman, who's a great guy, DIY Kitchens. If you need a kitchen, go and get DIY Kitchens. We'll back the thing. But no, what they're doing is incredible and it's brilliant. It's great to see, and we all want to see these clubs who are the ones that are perceived to be the lower ones upsetting the apple cart, and that's what Wakefield are doing. And
mate, we're seeing a flip. I mean, these teams that have come up, KR Lee, now Wakey, we're seeing a flip. You know, they really are actually showing, again, a lot of the established teams in Super League how to do it. Great chat on the Challenge Cup. The Challenge Cup quarter-final draw is already out there. We'll probably discuss that briefly on Captain's Run this Thursday. Captain's Run is back 6 p.m. for 6 again. And for Team Talk members, if you're not a member yet, then the QR code will be on the screen in a moment. Get that scanned. Come and join the fastest growing community in Rugby League, and you can be watching the Captain's Run, a brilliant prequel to the action in round number 5. Right, other news stories. Let's pay tribute to this man. As a young man, and I think we could all of us are of a certain age, maybe not Joel, I don't know, but all the rest of us certainly probably remember this man. Often with a cigarette in hand in the dugout in our youth. I think, you know, the BBC, there was nothing like a picture of good old Dougie Laughton with a cigarette on the go in the dugout. I think that was an image that many of us saw. Passed away yesterday. It was announced. Real shame. I mean, look, let's pay tribute to the man, both as a player, but also as a coach. This man did play in the 1970 Ashes series win. He was a 1979 Man of Steel. That tells you a little bit about this guy. Probably is a cup competition that is renowned with Dougie Laughton, the player, is the Lancashire Cup. He won the Lancashire Cup many times. He won it with Saints. He won it with Wigan twice. He won it with Widnes 3 times. So that, you know, that tells you a little bit about that. Obviously, as well, 2 Challenge Cups with Widnes, one as a player coach in 79 and again in 1981 with Widnes. I mean, like I say, many a runner-up as well in the Challenge Cup. One of our owners gone, somebody who's left his imprint on the great game of rugby league. Greg, Doug Laughton.
A legend. A winner off the pitch and a winner on the pitch and a winner off the pitch as a player and a coach. And yeah, it's sad that these legends are moving on. But, you know, yeah, like you say, I always remember on the BBC with a cig in hand. Some of his team talks, I believe, were absolutely legendary. I'm not going to repeat one team talk again. No, not a family show, but it was absolutely superb. Yeah, that's the measure of the man. Obviously, I was at the Widnes game yesterday, and I don't think the news had broke, but he was a Widnes-born guy. I think from the same neck of woods as Vince Cornelius, another Widnes legend. So yeah, a sad loss.
Yeah,
a sad loss for the game. Yeah, I think rightly so. Will be honoured. I hope he'll be honoured, and rightly so, because, you know, as I've said, a winner on the pitch with the clubs he played for and a winner off the pitch.
Absolutely. Of course, went to Oz as well. Let's not forget the guy.
He did, yeah.
Really straight. Yeah. Wasn't the NRL back in the day, of course, but yeah. Steph, Doug Laughton.
Yeah, what I would say is legends mix in the circles of rugby league, and Doug was one of them. Absolutely. What a guy he was. One of the best coaches I think rugby league's ever seen. For me, what an outstanding guy. My granddad knew him well. absolutely incredible for the sport, for Warrington, and I think it was involved a witness as well.
It was Witness, mate. He was Witness.
Yeah,
It was Witness. Yeah, it was why it was Witness.
What a top guy! What a top guy, and he'll be missed in the sport.
Absolutely, Joel. Doug Laughton. Do you remember much of Doug Laughton? Are you too young?
As a coach, yes. Not as a player. I wasn't around as a player. I was a bit young. I know of the name. But I can't say that I've ever seen much of him, if I'm going to be honest. But what you do become appreciative of is that it's people and individuals like him who paved the way for the players and the game that we see today. And you know, from anything I ever have heard about him, it's always been nothing but good things. And I think when you have them kind of conversations with people, like when Rob Burrow passed, you know, people are upset because they've touched hearts, and I would like to imagine that he was the same for those who had the opportunity to watch him play and coach.
Well, let's be fair, boys. He lived the dream. Born in Widnes, represented his hometown club both as player and as coach. Doesn't get much better than that. He will go down in history as one of Widnes's greatest ever sons. On behalf of everybody here at Super League Raw, our deepest condolences to the clubs involved with Doug and, of course, his family and friends. We will keep an ear out on the ground in terms of funeral arrangements for Doug, but you know, our very best wishes to his nearest and dearest. Right, before we move on with the show, let's get into this one. Arthur Morg released from the Dragons with immediate effect, joining Hull KR. We are expecting an announcement of Nye levels at Huddersfield Giants at some point. We're hearing on the wind. Not been announced yet, but you know, the rumour mill is there that expect Nye levels to turn up at Huddersfield Giants at some point. We'll talk about both of these. First of all, Evels. Don't know what's happened here, but for me, one of the integral parts of Hull KR's success in 2024, seamless telepathy with his halfbacks, his wingers, his centres. I've not heard why. I don't know if anybody has. Evels has decided to depart. Anybody want to shine some light on it?
Yeah, I'll drop one on there. I think it's to do with, unfortunately, I think his child has got some illness,
right?
Which is obviously very, you know, our hearts as dads and thinking go out to him with that. I think there's something to do with that. That needs him to be closer to home, which is what I'm understanding of the situation.
Well, that's a massive win for Huddersfield because, like I say, Evels, the player, has been absolutely exceptional. So we wish Niall, both on and off the field, all the best. We expect that to be Huddersfield. We expect that to be announced this week. So now let's change track. Let's go back to Arthur Morg. The way the Dragons have started this season, this for me, for him to be released early. I mean, I don't blame Morg because, you know, if Morg's pushed for this, good on him, because I think, you know, I just don't understand why this lad's been passed from pillar to post in a Dragon shirt. He's never given his head in one place. You know, when you've got Sam Tompkins coming out of retirement, Tompkins in his pomp absolutely gets ahead of Arthur Morg. But with the greatest respect to Sam, he's got, you know, Arthur Morg should not be being benched for Sam Tompkins at this stage of his career. So what we're about to say, and I know, Greg, you're a massive fan of Morg.
Yeah.
What we do know is that he will start at KR. That, I think, is pretty much nailed on. Now's the time for Arthur Morg to take his opportunity. He's never really took it. We know the talent is there. Can Willie Peters bring the best out of him? Can that role be cemented?
I think he can. And I think this is absolutely fantastic for Hull KR. I'm a massive fan and have been for a long time of Arthur Morg. I think, you know, with Tompkins ahead of him, when he came in to the Catalan side, he didn't let anybody down. He shone. He's a goal kicker. He's a creator. I think this is a really, really bad move from Catalan. And I think he's probably got a little bit fed up with the fact that Rouget, Tompkins have been in there ahead of him. We don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. But all I can say is, this is an absolutely fantastic move for Hull KR. I think, and as you say, I think they will bring the best out of him. He needs to start week in, week out. It's no good a player, his talent, his quality, playing 2 or 3 games and then being benched or being dropped or being moved. They need to find a position. It might be tough on Broadbent, who's been done really well, but bring Morgan, give him that fullback berth at Hull KR. And I think, Hull KR are onto a winner with this signing.
I think so.
Really
and I have to say, Joe, if Moore goes and sets the world on fire at KR, it probably puts even more pressure on Steve Mack.
It does. And the thing is, I think we're 99% sure that he is going to. He's a cracking player, Artemag. We all love him here at Super League Raw. And I think all the fan base loves him around the league. I don't like to talk negative, but talk about head scratchers. What has happened at Catalan there? And as you said, the questions asked of Steve Mack. Is this Steve Mack's doing? I don't think so. Surely not. Because he's a player that when we've seen him play and we've had the stats on him, he's always been up there with amongst the best. Could be in the team of the week pretty much nearly every week. If had he been playing regularly? He's an absolute class talent. He's so young. He's got bags of time left, and he's already got loads of experience from having played games. It just baffles me that a player who retired came back from being a broadcaster to then does he retire again to no, we're going to extend his contract. That is a very bad move.
Yeah,
bad move.
It is bizarre. Like I say, let's hope that Arta does rip it up at KR. And I'm sure he will do. And I was also pleased that Bill Leyland got a little touch as well. Rumour has it Bill Leyland might be on the move. More on that in the coming days as well. Bill Leyland may be being loaned out of Hull KR. Keep your eyes peeled with regards to that one. I don't know what's happened there with Joel. He's back again. There he goes. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled on that one. Bill Leyland may be popping up somewhere in the not too distant future, and he needs that as well. I wonder who needs a hooker. That's a chin scratcher. I'll leave that out there, Neva. By the time this goes out, who knows? Yeah, by the time this goes out, it could have already been announced. But anyway, expect Bill Leyland potentially to be on the move as well from Hull KR for a loan period, not a permanent move, just a loan period. Right, before we crack on with predictions and other little bits of fare, I think it's only right and appropriate. Matty Nicholson, as an English player, 21 years of age. What a debut for the Canberra Raiders at the weekend. 2 tries, didn't look out of place. Steph, bring you in first on this one. You watched it. How good was Matty Nick?
Absolutely outstanding, Dave. What a player this guy is. And he, from a debut point of view, you couldn't have asked for much better because 2 tries. He's literally got the NRL world at his feet instantly, and that's incredible, isn't it? This is exactly what we want to see from English players. We all knew the talent. We saw it at Warrington. We saw how good this player is. I mean, Warrington fans, yourselves would be gutted to lose this guy, but how good was it to see him step up in the NRL? Scored 2 tries on debut and just set the NRL world talking. This is what we want about Super League players.
100%. And of course, with Nsemba and now Matty Nick, the back row forwards of England in the long term, is wonderful. Joel, that try where he turned out of it. Oh, it was poetry. It was wonderful for a 21-year-old on debut to go and score a try of that caliber in the NRL. Wow.
I honestly thought when I saw that, it would just flash back to when Sam Burgess brought him on the bench, said what he said in his ear. We all heard it. Touched the ball straight in, bang, scored that try. I thought, am I watching an NRL here, or is this actually back in Super League? It was like it was nothing to me. Like, hot knife through butter. Absolutely beautiful.
21.
That's just going to send him on a trajectory just going upwards very fast. I just hope he's got some dizzy tablets.
Absolutely. I was speaking to Sam Burgess at the reserve game, Reggie Lee Warrington, over this because it was the morning of, not after. And Sam just said that he'd already texted him to say, "Why didn't you run lines like that for me last season?" Tongue in cheek. But Burgess was absolutely glowing for him, and you could tell the way Sam was talking. He sees in Matty Nick a player that, like he did, he's got the 21. He's got the potential to be the next big English player. I mean, obviously, Big Junior, when he goes, will do the same. Should he go? But Matty Nick, he's got the world at his feet, as Steph says.
Oh yeah, completely agree. Scored on debut for Wigan, on debut for Warrington, and now on debut down under. An absolute world-class talent now, never mind in 5-6 years' time. To go over there and to do that, and he hasn't been first choice at the first couple of weeks.
No,
he's come in there and he's showed them what he can do, and we haven't replaced him at Warrington. You only appreciate. I think sometimes you only appreciate how good a player is when you don't have them in your side. I think Matty Nick is one of those players. And yeah, good luck to him. And I hope he goes on. I hope he has an absolute stellar career down there because he's put a marker down now that he said, "I'm here and I'm here to stay." So well done. Well done.
It was an incredible performance. And also, as well, it'd be wrong of us not to say Morgan Smithies was also super.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. And it's good to see, as Steph said, it's good to see these English players, and it gives some kudos to Super League. Kudos that maybe over the last 10, 15 years we haven't had. And we've got young players going over there making their mark, whereas we've got players at the end of their career in Australia coming over here. And I think that says a lot that Aussie teams are looking at our young players now and are giving them that chance to develop and to show the world what they can do.
We've always said
forward. Sorry, we do it in the forwards, don't we?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is that our forwards seem to be unbelievable, don't they?
Yeah,
and they really make a benchmark in the NRL. It's the backs where we don't do it.
No.
But,
well, I'll tell you what, as well, it'd be wrong of us as well not to also pay tribute to Sneyd Amateur Rugby League Football Club, because they have produced both Matty Nick and Morgan Smithies. It's a wonderful story. Came through the same amateur team, went to Wigan together. Now they're playing the trade together in Canberra. It's a wonderful, wonderful story. So everybody at Sneyd Amateur Rugby League Club, congratulations. Congratulations. This is a cracking feat for your amateur club. I'm sure that you're all watching in the bar Saturday morning. And, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm sure you're producing other great talent as well that we're going to see in the years to come. So many congratulations to you guys down there on a job well done. Right, let's have a 2-minute little interval, because we have got, of course, Tony Smith in 2 parts. I sat down with Tony Smith in conversation. The members have already had part 1, part 2. Also, they've had that on Monday. But the debut on Free to Air is happening on tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Wednesday evening. It will be In Conversation part 1 with Tony Smith. Like I said, the members have already had it. But here's a little sneak peek, if you're a non-member, of what is coming on our YouTube channel tomorrow.
Against the London Broncos as our first point on the board. And that was midway through the season. Second half of the season, and we actually did this thing. We scrapped the first part of the season and we did our own table for the second half of the season. So we were on 1 point in the second part of the season, game 1. And then we finished as a team. We had this drawer up, this ladder in our gym. We finished 6th for the second half of the season. We turned it around. Not enough, because we still got relegated. And then went down to the next division and we went through undefeated. We had one draw. That was against Whitehaven. And Paul Cullen was the coach at Whitehaven. So we had an undefeated season. I can honestly say, hand on heart, my first year as a coach was right up there as, if not my most enjoyable, very close to it. And also some of my biggest learnings. And it taught me about leadership. It taught me how to lead. It taught me how to lead when things aren't going well, how to inspire people, how to remain positive. It reinforced what I thought coaching was about. And my job as a coach, I get judged by people outside all the time, but my job as a coach was to improve the team and improve individuals within the team and myself. That's my job.
So Tony there talking about his first year as a coach, as Huddersfield Giants coach. Paul Rowley said it was his favourite ever season as a player, the year that Huddersfield got relegated. Tony there going on record saying it was one of his most enjoyable seasons as well. If you haven't, well, you wouldn't if you're not a member. Well worth a watch. Part 1 for the non-members coming out tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Part 2 will be a week tomorrow. And of course, for you members who haven't seen it yet, get over to the members exclusive area of your membership on YouTube, and you can see both parts. A really, really good quality in conversation. I have to say, I really did enjoy that one for obvious reasons. But no, what a guy! What a fantastic interview. So make sure you catch that part 1 tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Right? Okay. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to go there.
Give your head a wobble.
Yes, it's time once again to give our heads a little wobble. And who have we got for you? Well, as expected, and again, we always say these are the minority of every club. We're just having a bit of fun. We know 99.9% of rugby league fans, have a brain. It's not like John Cleese in Fawlty Towers. Is this a piece of your brain? No, it's none of that. It's none of that. We know that 99.9% of you are realistic. You see the game for what it is, but there's 0.1% in every club. There is, who, quite frankly, need to give their head a wobble. And of course, the quadruple champions have gone out the Challenge Cup. And yeah, you know what? Out came the keyboard warriors. Let's go to Matthew C. New. I think he's new because he's already been deleted once, perhaps, from Facebook. I don't know. Embarrassing. Worst performance of the past few years. Glad I didn't waste my time going to the game. Great supporter. No wonder the stadium was almost empty. Brilliant, Matt. So basically what you're saying is you have no right at all to comment on the Wigan Warriors because you don't go to the game. Matty, give your head a wobble, sir. Not good enough on your part. Shocking effort. Anyway, let's now move to David Haley, or Halley, or just David, to his friends. It's time for Farrell to retire. He's been a great servant. Get him on the coaching staff. He would serve the club better there now. What a way to treat a legend of the club, David.
Wow.
David, with the greatest respect, give your head a wobble, sir. Deary me. Unbelievable. This is a man who lifted 4 trophies for you last year, and you're already putting him out.
Captain
of the club. Unbelievable. I don't know. Right, this is a belter. This is outstanding. Get ready for Martin Gray, because Martin Gray said, tell you what, very poor second half, but Kendall didn't have tried to give him an helping hand. Did you not see SCR to go to the bin? Never in the history of man as a referee.
Wow.
I know, never in the history of man as a referee who has wanted to make sure that a team wins, puts perhaps one of the best players in their opposition to the sin bin for 10 minutes. Martin, mate, this one's for you. Shocking, absolutely shocking. Anyway, let's go to Frank Hardy. Frankie, it's got to be done. Here it comes. Frank's in. The performance at home this season have not been great, and this was coming last week, so no real surprise really. Out infused based on 60-minute display in Vegas. Wow.
I don't really understand that one.
Well, I think he's basically saying that Wigan at home have been poor. To my recollection, they lost in a 1-0 thriller to Lee in game 1. They battered, they put on a masterclass against Huddersfield in the second half, 34 unanswered points and scored some wonderful, wonderful tries. And they lost to Hull FC at the weekend, but that's sport. Frank,
Yeah, I think he needs to get his mate Stan Laurel to help him give his head a wobble there.
I tell you, is it cold in here? I tell you, unbelievable the amount of wobbling that's going. Oh, actually, he didn't finish there, Frank. He actually went again. Here's another one from Frank. How do we feel about the Raiders this moment now? We're not going to fill the stadium with what we've seen at home this season. Is that what a quadruple winning team deserves, Frank? For you to turn your back on them after 4 games in Super League and an exit to All FC? Call yourself a supporter, Frank, if the cap fits where it's shocking. Absolutely.
I'm saying nothing because my mate from the grand final might be on my back again if I say anything.
Can we just say one of the greatest ever teams?
Ever.
Ever. Like,
Yeah. I could actually go and win the league leaders and the grand final.
Yeah.
And Frank will be out that night getting proper leathered, saying it's the greatest team ever. But at this moment in time, you know,
Frank needs to come and support Lee.
Yeah. Right, here we go.
Now, the thing is, with that, it was always going to be a very, very, very phenomenal feat for Wigan to do all 4 trophies again.
Of course,
look at Man United when they won the treble.
Yeah.
They won 1 trophy this
Wasn't
season.
Wasn't going to happen.
Always going to happen. You will not win all. Well, they can't win all 4 because they didn't have the World Club Championship. But although a lot of people believe they would win all trophies available this season, it is very, very unlikely after a season like they had last year that they're going to back that up.
Correct. Now, like I said, nobody's given Wigan more praise than we have.
Nope.
We're a championship champion team. And we know that this is 0.1%. And I'm sure there's Wigan fans watching this now going, oh my days. You know what I mean? The sparkling rugby they've seen, and our friends here have had a moment of madness and gone on Facebook or whatever and shot from the hip. And yes, we've always said we'll be watching. We were also watching Stuart Leverton. Now, chaps, before we actually show what Stuart said, could somebody just remind me who the architect of the Wigan quadruple actually is? The architect.
Matty P.
No. On the field.
On the field. Harry Smith.
Harry Smith. All day. Oh, Harry's come in for it from Stu. Here we go. Well done, FC. Where were the leaders in the second half? Abysmal performance from Harry Smith. He's nothing without Jack Field.
Harry Smith was one of the best players for Wigan in this game.
Mate.
In that first half, Harry Smith tore whole FC to pieces.
Honestly, it's the most. I mean, Stu, mate, really. I mean, Harry Smith, mate. I mean, look at the Huddersfield game. Needs Jive Field. Give your head a wobble, lad. You're having a giggle, mate. Harry Smith. How can you criticise Harry Smith? Unbelievable. But I've saved the best till last. The pain for you, Wigan, you great Wigan supporters out there who are looking at this embarrassed by your brethren. Only one more to go, but I have saved the best till last. Because Johnny Alderson, take a bow. Because what he's actually saying in his quote goes just beyond the pale. Because what he's basically saying is that he says that the Rugby Football League is corrupt, but what he's actually saying is that Matt Pete's corrupt. Because what he said was, anyone want to bet that Field and Ellis are available next week? Johnny, are you suggesting that Wigan left Field out of the second half, Cade Ellis out, so they could go out the Challenge Cup? Is that what you're suggesting, John?
I think you only have to look at the reaction of Matty Pete at the end when he was in tears. Shows you that Matty Pete was as gutted as that result as the majority of Wigan fans were.
Rugby Football League's corrupt. He's actually saying his own coach is corrupt. I mean, can it get any worse than that? Johnny, I really hope that you watch this, and I really hope that you actually look yourself in the mirror and go, what was I doing? That is unbelievable, my friend. Unbelievable. Almost as unbelievable as Kev Crosley at Leeds, who actually says, get rid of Croft. He's the only one who's coming out of any real. He's the only one. I mean, without Croft, you're having a laugh. Oh, matey, you're having a giggle. Absolutely. I tell you, if you're going to shoot, Croft's well down that pecking order.
All right, let's throw the gauntlet down to Kev. Who does he bring in his place?
Well, God only knows. But anyway, like I say, Leeds there. But unfortunately, on this edition of Give You Head a Wobble, it has been the lion's share of quadruple champions. I am pleased to say that the vast majority of people have lost this one with grace. They understand the great team that they've got. But unfortunately, within their ranks, were the likes of Johnny. Oh, mate. Wow. Just simply wow. I've always said it. Be careful this year because we're watching. And you could be the next star of...
Give your head a wobble.
Absolutely fantastic. Right, let's get back to ground number 5. Super League, of course, coming back this weekend. This is where we left the league table. The Robins sitting top of the shop with 8 points, a perfect 4 from 4. Then the Leopards, Saints, Warriors, FC and Rhinos in the top 6 spots. Trinity just outside. Then the Wire, Dragons, Tigers, Giants and Red Devils. And of course, that bottom 2 will go head to head. We'll be talking about that in a few moments' time. But before we do, it's time to check in. We didn't do this last time. We've saved it for this one. Let's see who's leading the prediction league. It is a joint, well, it's a tie. Greg and Steph both on 57 apiece. You're a long way off there, Jolie boy. A good 21 points behind. That said, I'm not doing much better. The non-members, they're sitting in third with 48. The members, 47 for them. Earl on 43. Then me, 39. Joel, 36. But yes, Steph and Greg, congratulations, sirs. Sitting joint top there of the division.
Shall we stop the league now, Steph?
Absolutely, mate. I think after last season's performance, we're doing incredibly well there, mate.
Incredibly well. It's been turned upside down, gentlemen. Many congratulations to you.
Season now.
Stop the season now. Right, let's get into it. Let's get into this one. It's massive. Thursday night, 8 o'clock. What a game. Joel's already got his hands in his head in his hands. Wow, just wow. This is a game of absolute significance. Only one team is going to be on 0 points come 10 o'clock this Thursday night. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Salford? Is it going to be the Giants? Absolute one not to miss. It's going to be fascinating. Joel, I will come to you last. Greg, I'll start with you as you're underneath myself there on the screen. I'll go down as it looks. Salford Giants, mate. I mean, for pride,
yeah.
And for pride, both of these two sides desperately need a win. Over to you, mate. What a game.
I'd love to get to this game. I think this is Paul Rowley's team talk of his career after what's gone on. It's an absolute must win for both sides. And having said that, it's Luke Robinson's team talk of his career as well. I think there's more pressure on the Giants, and Joel may disagree with me on this one, but personally, I believe there's more pressure on the Giants to win this than there is on Salford because of what Salford have gone through. Well documented. We're not going to go through that again.
Yeah.
They may have lost some more players by the time this game kicks off. We don't know yet. But I get the feeling, and this is going to delight my Huddersfield friends, that Salford are going to scrape this 1-8. And I think it's going to be another case of Huddersfield dominating first half and falling away in the second half. And I'm going to go Salford 1-8.
Fair enough. Salford 1-8, says Greg. That's an interesting one. Right, okie dokie. Mr. Sale.
Yeah, it's a fantastic tie, this one. I'm sure everyone will be tuning in on Thursday night to watch this. Going to be an absolutely fantastic contest. For me, a lot's going to come in terms of what Salford can put out there. So that's the big factor, isn't it? Like the betting has been this year.
Suspended.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? So I'm going to go for Huddersfield. I think they're going to turn it around. I think this is the game where we see Luke Robinson's side, come forward. We're going to go 1-8. Huddersfield.
You're going and scraping it?
Yep.
Okay. Now, obviously, I'm really, I'm going to go to Joel now. I want to get him in a good mood before he starts speaking. So, just one more.
Give your head a wobble.
Yes, there is one more. Because, Joel, this just to get you in a good mood, mate. Because we had Andy Shute, a Huddersfield Giants fan, that's gone on to socials tonight. And this is what he said. He said, "What do we have to do to make the team believe we continue to capitulate to teams who are no better than us? Please let me coach this team for one game." Andy, I think there's a U where there should be an I in your name, mate, because that is utter garbage, sir. I don't know what your coaching credentials are, but quite frankly, is what I would say to you. Absolutely never in a month of Sundays will we ever see Andy Shute in the dugout at the Huddersfield Giants. Joel, hopefully that makes you feel a little bit better. Tell me, Salford against Huddersfield, can your team do it?
Yeah, well, okay, well, I don't know him. So that doesn't really help. Yeah, this is the one. I'm struggling. I'm really struggling to call. I'm going to explain my reasoning behind this one. We don't know what Salford's situation is as regards to who's going on the field.
Nope.
More than likely, there's going to have some restrictions there.
Yeah.
So that goes in Huddersfield's favour. We have been far too good in the first half of each game to not be able to put on a bit of a lead, even if it is in the first half. At some point, we're going to have to win, surely.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be any game, it's this one. And I need some points on the board because I want to beat Earl. So I'm gonna go for a Huddersfield 1-8. And if we lose this, mark my words, I will never vote for Huddersfield to win a game again the rest of the season.
If they don't win this, do you fear for Luke?
I do, but I don't think Luke is one bit of an issue here.
No.
That's a tough question to ask me. If you can read between the lines a little bit,
yeah,
and think about what you said earlier.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, Luke is not the problem. Luke is actually the answer.
Oof, that's a massive vote of confidence from you there, with regards to Luke's concerned. I think it's a fascinating fixture. I think obviously the win against Bradford will have done Salford a bit of good. I think we'd have to say that. I think it will have done them a fair bit of good. Credit was given at full time for Chris Hill, who we've been critical of, let's be honest, and Almonroyd's efforts against Bradford. But with the greatest of respect to Bradford, they're not a Super League side. I'd like to see Chris do 80 against the Giants, I'd have to say. It's a different level altogether. But again, you can't knock it. Chris and Almonroyd did really well. I've got to back Huddersfield, and unlike you lads who are seeing it 1-8, I'm seeing it 9-17. Wow. I think Huddersfield in this one. I think they need to play for Luke, and I think they need to, as Joel said earlier in the show, Luke bleeds claret and gold, and he deserves a performance from his troops that is befitting of his passion for his club. I've got no doubt that Luke is saying, he's speaking from the heart in training, in dressing rooms. We want, there's a lot of money in that, a lot of money being spent on that squad. We laughed last year about Leroy Cudjoe getting we weren't laughing at Leroy, we keep saying that. Leroy deserved the player of the season, but we laughed at all of these other players on big money that couldn't beat Leroy Cudjoe in the twilight of his career to that award. These men now need to stand up. Tuilolahea needs to rein it in. And in the same spirit as we said, Catalan Dragons needed to play basics of rugby league and get the job done against Leeds Rhinos, and did. That's what is required here from Huddersfield. They've got the personnel to just play solid professional rugby league and to get the job done. And again, no disrespect to Salford. Salford will do the best, I'm sure, but we don't know what that looks like at this moment in time from week to week. But yeah, I think this is where Luke gets his first, his first win of the season. So I'm going Luke. I'm backing him. I'm going to go 9-17. Right, lads. If that was a discussion, this is a belting discussion. What a game this is. What a game. I mean, this weekend we are blessed because we have got some belting games this weekend. This is another one. What a game. Wakefield Trinity, Hull FC. Both will go into this with bags of confidence. This is going to be a barnstormer. This is going to be a great, great game of rugby league. I don't think either will leave much on the field. Steph, we'll start with you on this one. How exciting a match is this all of a sudden?
Well, absolutely, Dave. It's become probably one of the game of the round for me. It's going to be an absolute brilliant game. I'm sure Wakefield will get the pyrotechnics going, get the stadium packed out again, which is exactly what we want to see in Super League. Yeah, it's a tough one to call this. It's so tough. I'm gonna go Wakefield by 1-8. I think but this could be a golden point. Yeah,
tight game. Yeah, I can see why you're going tight on this one. Joel, where are you seeing it?
Once again, this is a really tough call. At the start of the season, you won't be that bothered about watching this, possibly. But now I think it's the one that everyone's dying to see. They're both playing some, let's say it, champagne rugby. It's really good quality. This is really hard. I'm only going to go Wakefield by 1-8 because they're at home. The home support is going to be electric. The ground, it's very like Cass, it's very on you because they're close to the ground. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hull got a win as well. But it's 1-8 for Wakey just because of home advantage.
Fair enough. Greg, I mean, both will be on a high.
Yeah.
However, FC more so because it was Wigan that they knocked out.
Yeah.
And that was a massive scalp. Will that work against FC going into this one?
Do you know what, Dave? You've kind of preempted what I was going to say. I think we've seen over the years that a team has to put in so much effort, not to beat Wigan, but to beat the top teams. Saints and Bradford and Leeds when they're at the top. To beat those teams, you have to put so much, not so much physical effort into it, but also mental effort into it as well. And I just think when you go away to a team like Wigan, it drains you mentally and as well as physically. And I think that as well as Hull did in that second half against Wigan, I think it will take its toll. And I see Wakefield, and no disrespect, Joel, to Huddersfield, I think Wakefield will probably bounce back quicker from that mentally and physically. And I see Wakefield winning 9-17.
You're going bigger. You're going 9-17.
Yeah.
Waker. Yeah. I mean, it's
that big game.
Yeah.
Effect. It has. Yeah. It drains you mentally and physically, and getting up again for a game 4 or 5 days later. Those big games tend to have a bigger effect on you mentally and physically. So I'm going Wakefield 9-17.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a tough one. It really is. And again, going back to what we've been saying about John Cartwright, if FC was to back up at Wakefield and get a win, again, it's another tick in the box where Cartwright's concerned, because you're right, to get them, because like I say, the emotion of that, there was a lot of players playing on Saturday that last season went through the mire at FC. So the emotion, the relief, everything about that win would have just been, it's utopia. It's the biggest high that they probably had in many a year on a rugby league field. It was such a big moment, the gravitas of it. So yeah, I think if Cartwright can can pull this one off, again, what a tick in the box for John Cartwright. No doubt about that whatsoever. Will he do it? Do you know what? I'm so on the fence with this. So on the fence, because it's a hell of a statement from FC if they do this. It's to the point where you then got to start maybe, and I always say round 8. Anybody who's listened to me for 4 years will know. I always say 8 rounds. After 8 rounds, you get a feeling of where teams are at and who the runners and riders are going to be. If John Cartwright gets a win here at Wakefield, all of a sudden you are talking about FC remarkably being playoff contenders, serious playoff contenders. It's that big of a result. To go and do that to Wigan and then back up against a Wakey team that have been brilliant thus far this season and been competitive in every game. Massive. But like you guys, solely because of the emotion of the Wigan win, I am going to go Wakey, and I'm going to go Wakey 1-8. I do think this will be tight. But again, because Wakey perhaps have not had as tough a game and as much of an emotional game. I mean, in some respects, Wakey's got a lot of free hits. They'd have fancied that against Huddersfield today, and they'd have been disappointed if they lost it, but it wouldn't have been the end of the world. And it's the same. Like I said, less pressure on them. I think there's probably more expectation on Hull FC than there is on Wakey going into this game. I think the Wakey fans are just enjoying the ride and are daring to dream and probably see the Challenge Cup as their biggest opportunity to maybe get to a major final this year. And it's not beyond them. But I'm just going to go Wakey 1-8. But this time next week, lads, if FC have pulled this one off, I think we'll be probably talking very, very, very nicely about Hull FC and their chances of playoff rugby league in 2025. Right, if that wasn't good enough, here comes another beauty. St Helens against Warrington. Both sides with major questions against them this season. Major questions. And you wouldn't have thought that when we kicked off the season. But I think both teams at the moment, Saints have probably had a favourable, like we keep saying, a favourable start in terms of the quality of the teams that they've played. But again, Joel, I'll start with you. When you consider that both of these two teams have played Wakefield, Wakefield were good in both. Don't get me wrong, I thought they were good against Saints, but they comfortably beat Warrington. Is that a marker for this game? Do you see this advantage Saints, or actually do you think this could be another step in the right direction for the Wire? What's your thoughts? Mark Sneyd expected to play, of course.
Yeah, I think it's always good signs. It's always an indicator. It's not the be all and end all, as you know, but it certainly does have an indication to it. Mark Sneyd, great player, but is he just going to be a bit reserved in the first game? Is he going to hold back a little bit just to kind of find his way around the team, just even for the first week, possibly? I think with that, stringed with being Saints at home and the kind of confidence that Saints are building, I would go 1-8 to Saints. But if you'd have asked me this next week, with Mark Sneyd being in the team this week, I'd have said a different scoreline. So I think just them two combinations of things might just sneak it for Saints.
So you're going 1-8 St Helens, yeah?
Yeah.
Steph?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really intriguing game. I think probably the biggest factor for me in this one is who Warrington got back, because obviously Matty Ashton.
Well, we know Duffy. We know Duffy should be back for this one.
Yeah, I was going to say Duffy, Ashton, King, really big strike players for Warrington, and that's going to matter a lot in this game. If Warrington have got those players back, then that could tip the edge in this one. I don't think both sides have set the world on fire in terms of the early season. Home advantage could be a big thing for Saints here. And is it Robertson? Is the centre? Is that right?
Harry Robertson.
Harry Robertson's been outstanding for Saints this season. Really, really intriguing game, this one. I I'm going to go with Saints 1-8.
Saints 1-8. Saints Helens 1-8. No Percival, that's a big blow for Saints, Greg. Obviously, you've seen Warrington throughout the season, and Saints. Of course, Saints a bit of needle here because Warrington did them every game last season, which I can't remember in the history of man when that last happened. So they'll want a bit of revenge with regards to that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no Percival, probably no Bachelor as well. The Saints after failing his HIA.
Right, yeah.
They are big misses. They're big misses for Saints. Percival with the boot, especially conversions. You know, we've got a great record at the Totally Wicked Stadium. We had a great record against them, and you know, everything about this says that at some point Saints are going to break the fact that we beat them 4 times last season, break the fact that we generally do really, really well at the Totally Wicked Stadium. But I think with the players back, and I think the Sneyd factor, I know what Joel's saying, but I think the Sneyd factor will kick in. And I think this could be another golden point, by the way. I'm going wire 1-8, and don't be surprised if it's a golden point and Sneyd kicks the winning drop goal. Yeah,
no, I think that's a good shout. I mean, look, I think that, we mentioned Sneyd, half-backs, Steph was mentioning the likes of Robertson, Dufty, the backs. This is, again, it's forward territory. I think, coming into the game, very similar to when KR went to Saints a couple of weeks ago. We said that the battle of the forwards was going to be really critical. And Alex Walmsley, to his credit, had a great night, but the supporting cast weren't at the races. Of course, they were missing Matt Elise as well that night. Warrington's pack as well hasn't been at the races. So
I think Burgess had got to put some trust in Max Wood. He's got to give him his head and say, right, go on, Max, cause some damage, because he can cause damage. He proved against Widnes when he came on. Musgrove has got to stand up. Musgrove has got to stand up to Walmsley. And and if he can do that, I think that sets a platform. If we can get into the Saints pack early on,
and
I think that sets the standard for the game. If Saints pack gets knocked back, then I think we got a chance, and I think that might happen.
It is going to be fascinating, but the blueprint of Warrington and Saints games, the amount of these games over the seasons that have ended golden point or very, very tight. So the 1-8 scoreline, I think, is rightly placed, and then it's you toss a coin in terms of who comes out on top, and I've got to go Saints, and I've got to go Saints for the pure reason at this moment in time, who is playing better or appears to be playing better, it is Saints. Now, that could all change on Friday night. Warrington could go there and turn it on. Who knows? But at this moment in time, Warrington seem to be stuttering. Saints appear to be in a better place. It's going to be tight, but based on just form, not on what happened last year. It's a whole new season. I'm going to have to go Saints 1-8. It pains me to say that, but it should be a great, great game. Right, we then move on to Saturday. Castleford Tigers taking on the Catalan Dragons. Catalan Dragons without Artem Morg. This is going to be interesting. Another interesting game. Steph, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, very, very interesting game. I think, obviously, Artem Morg missing is going to be huge. Sam Tompkins had a great game actually in the Challenge Cup game, so it'd be interesting to see what happens here. I don't know the cast fans on this one. I think we're going to have a big impact. I think home advantage is huge here for Castleford, and if they're going to kickstart the season, I think this is probably the game to do it. So I'm going to go Cas 1-8.
That's a big shout. Massive shout from the Sale. Mr. Nixon, do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I think Cas are going to win 90-17.
Who's going to win 9-17?
Yeah,
Cass?
I think
Cass.
9-7 Castleford Tigers.
Go on, yeah. 9-17.
I think Catalan are on a spiral that I will probably end up with McNamara being shown the door. I really do. I think.
Good evening, Steve.
Yeah, no, but I think that they're not performing, and I don't know why they're not performing. With the players they've got, they should be doing better. I think Cass, as it's a tight ground, it'll be cold. You know, Castleford's cold in July, never mind in March. Morning, all our Cass fans. But I just see Catalan capitulating to this one. They've lost Morg, who's a huge, huge loss. I don't care what anybody says about that. And I see Castleford 9-17.
Wow. Joel?
Yeah, Reggie makes a very interesting point there. It is a very cold ground. The wind definitely knows where to blow in that stadium, that's for sure. There's a few factors. There's that. You've got the fans. You've got the pitch size. But I think the biggest one, and it's not the norm, is I think the week off has helped them. Normally, it doesn't always help you. It doesn't always go in your favour. But I think with Cass, it probably has. It's given Danny a chance to just find a few more combinations, a few more training days in with the lads, and then a couple more rest days too. So I think when you look player for player, you would imagine Catalans would have won 18 plus. However, that's just not been the case this season. And I think it'd be silly not to go for Cass for a home win. I'm not going by much. I'm going to go 1-8.
1-8 to Cass.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, you're all calling me silly. I'm going Catalan. I'm going Catalan 9-17. I think that win against Featherstone will have helped them. What I think, scoring tries. It's about habits and it's about confidence. Getting over that line is really, really important. And if you consider against Bradford, they were poor. Sorry, Halifax. Sorry, they were poor. They were poor against Halifax in the last round of the cup. Different against Featherstone. And Halifax and Featherstone, not an awful lot in it. Not an awful lot in terms of those two teams, but they've just found a way to just batter them at the weekend. And I think that'll have done them good, giving them confidence that they can break down defences. I think, unfortunately for Cass, and I've expected some incomings. They haven't happened. And that I would have expected them maybe in this week off. And it could happen this week, who knows. But as we do this, there have been no incomings. And I think that is a bit of a letdown. I think they need to reinforce that squad. I really do. And I just think if you look at the pack of Castleford and compare it to the pack on a tight pitch, it's about what that grunt down the middle, that if you remember, Greg, when Warrington went on that 8-game winning streak 2 years back, and they had Michaeli and they had all the big units, the duds, when it all looked rosy in the Garden, they absolutely bullied on that pitch down the middle. That's where the damage was done. And I see Catalan going there with the big artillery this weekend and just laying down a little bit of a marker that, hey, don't write us off too early. So I'm going Catalan 9-17. Right, we then go to another great game. Hey, here we go again. What a weekend of rugby league we've got here. This is beautiful. Oh yes, come on, bring it on. Leeds Rhinos taking on the Wigan Warriors. Both teams dumped out of the cup, of course, at the weekend. Wigan will be sieving. But for those who watched the documentary, which by the way was exceptional, the Wigan documentary, if you've not watched that yet, go watch it. What a brilliant piece of filmmaking that was. Outstanding. Everything about that, class. But if you remember last season, they had a wobble. And, sometimes teams have wobbles and it all comes at once. And Wigan tend to be that type of team where wobbles come all at once. So be interesting to see if this is their wobble. Will Wigan, the club, be joining the likes of Andy Shute and, our mate Johnny? We're going all this business that weekend. Who knows? But yeah, it's a fascinating game. fascinating game at Headingley. The South Stand, I'm sure, will be jumping. Right, where I'm going to start on this one. We'll start with you, Steph. Go on. Leeds against Wigan.
Well, yeah. First of all, what an intriguing game this one is. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. One of the best places to watch rugby league in terms of Headingley Stadium. My favourite place. It's going to be an absolute cracker of a game, this. Wigan are going to look for a massive response to what's happened this weekend. Jai Field, I think, is massive in terms of, does he recover from that hamstring injury? Does he come back to play?
I don't see how he can. Sorry for interrupting. I don't see how he can. If he had a tight hamstring at the weekend, to risk him a week later, I think it's at least 2, maybe even 3. So I would be amazed if Field plays this game.
Well, we'll see. That'll be a big impact on this game. I mean, the thing is with Wigan, they're blessed with riches, aren't they? They can bring Eckersley back. They can move so many players around. So it's one of those. But we've seen over the years so many classic games played between these two sides. The problem, I think, is for Leeds, they've not been the best of this season. That's we're going to see whether it's going to be about the coaching for me, and whether Brad Arthur, and we've talked about documentaries. Both these sides have brought documentaries out, haven't they? And built the season on documentaries. It's going to be a really interesting game, but for me, I think Wigan are going to come and dominate. I think it's 18 plus Wigan.
Wow, Greg?
Yeah, this is one of those games, isn't it? This is one of those games where Leeds react and absolutely smash Wigan, because Wigan are a wounded beast and Wigan are feeling sorry for themselves. And Wigan have got injuries and Jay Field might not play. Or this could be Matty Pete. You know, Matty Pete is a master of bringing his team off the canvas. I think they made a mistake last week not putting Eckersley at fullback when Field went off. I don't think they'll repeat that mistake. I think Eckersley will probably be at fullback. I just think Wigan will be smarting a little bit more. You know, Leeds go to St Helens, teams go to St Helens. You've got it's in the back of the mind that you go to St Helens and you're going to lose. You're playing at home against Hull, a team that everybody expects you to win, and suddenly with 2 minutes to go, you're looking up at the scoreboard and you're behind on that scoreboard. I think Wigan will react, and I think Wigan 9-17.
9-17.
I think Leeds will perform. I just think Wigan will be hurting too much, will want to bite back too much, and just have too much.
Wonderful.
Leeds.
Joel?
I vaguely remember last season, Wigan losing, and the week after we said on Weekly that Wigan's going to come back strong, and I vaguely remember them, I think, doing the opposition by about 40 points. So I just don't see that not happening again. I think Wigan are going to put Leeds to the sword and just say, we're not having that, son. Let's get back to, resume as normal. I'm seeing 18 plus Wigan because I'm just not seeing enough from Leeds right now to stop them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's Wigan. I think Wigan will bounce back. I think Wigan will be too strong. Field's a massive loss. I think Field. I say I'd be amazed if Field plays. Honestly, if he had a tight hamstring, to be right again the week after that would be a big surprise. Because if it wasn't that bad, I think he stays on. So I would expect there's at least a couple of weeks there for Jai Field, and the form he's been in, that's a big blow. But then we saw Eckersley against Saints last year come in at fullback and went away with a man of the match award, had a cracking game at fullback. So there's no doubt, Eckersley at fullback, Miskey will be brought back in. I think there's no question. What we've seen is that Bevan French will not be playing fullback for Wigan, I don't think, ever again. That just didn't I mean, it's remarkable, really. I mean, Super Bevan, he wasn't that super at fullback, bless him, at the weekend. He'll be having nightmares about Lewis Martin. But yeah, I mean, he'll be back in at 6. I think there's no doubt about that. That really poor player that can't play with Jai Field will have a shocker in Harry Smith. I mean, I don't even know why they'll pick him. Maybe Farriman should start instead of Smith. I don't know. But I'm sure Harry will just about scrape the number 7 shirt on the day. I'm going Wigan 9-17. I would have got 18 plus, but I think that the field factor, the form that Field has been in, that's where the 18 goes for me. I think Leeds, like you say, will probably have a good hour, and then after that, I think Wigan might just turn on the afterburners, but not by 3 tries. We'll see. And then if that wasn't enough, what a way to bring the curtain down. What a weekend. What a weekend of rugby league we've got here, lads. Oh, dearie me. I don't know. Wow. Just simply wow. Whoa. Oh, let's just sit back and just for a moment, just bask in the glory of what we've got to look forward to. Before we even go there, let's just recap. Bottom of the table drama. The up-and-coming Wake against FC. Which one is the real deal this year? The two sides that, for all the world, you'd have thought to perform better than they have, coming head-to-head with all the rivalry and toxicity of this particular clash. There's a good one on a Sunday night. Then you've got Castleford taking on the Dragons. And again, great fare. Leeds against Wigan. And then, to finish it off. What a game. Arguably the 2 form teams of the comp thus far this season. First against second. Tell you, wonderful. That wasn't wobbling. That was shivers, ladies and gentlemen. That's how good this weekend is. Shivering at the thought of all this wonderful fare. We'll come to Steph last. Greg, are you as excited about the final game as you have been about the other 5?
Why is this on Super League Plus? Why is this not on Sky Sports?
Well, there you go.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, I'll be tuning in at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Do you know what? This is a close one to call. Will Artemog make his debut? Will he make his debut? Possible. And you know what? This Saints Warrington, Leeds Wigan, this is going to be the game of the round. I have absolutely no doubt about that. And again, I'm thinking this could well go to a golden point because both teams are so evenly matched. And I think purely, Steph, and I apologise, I think purely home advantage on this one is making me go Hull KR 1-8.
Wonderful. Joel?
So far, definitely the round of the season. Might have been round of the last 2 seasons, possibly.
It's just perfect, isn't it? The way this round has materialised, where the league tables are, the drama of the cup as well at the weekend, it's just fallen beautifully, hasn't it? What a great round.
Drama, emotion, commotion, and the rest that comes with it. Absolutely.
And a locomotion if you win. Go on, lad. Get your best Kylie shirt on. Son.
This one's going to be a really good game. Everything tells me or screams at me that Lee's going to do it. Hull KR, fantastic team, especially at home. But Lee, Steph, you've got a team there, bud. My word. I've got to go Lee 1-8. There's just something telling me that you're going to do it.
Massive shout. Lee 1-8 by Joel. We'll let Steph have the last word in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, do I need to big this up? Probably not. David Armstrong at fullback, Artemog on debut, Petterhick, who arguably one of the standout centres, was for me the standout centre of 2024, should have been in the dream team, coming up against Tessie New. Oh yes, have a little bit of that. Then you've got the likes of Lockie Lamb and Mikey Lewis in the middle, just pulling the strings. 2 wonderful hookers in Mr. Litton and Mr. Ipape, of course. Robbie Mulhern, will he feature question marks over that one as well? Oh, Oh, yes, there'll be plenty of biff in the pack as well. Oh, 3 o'clock on Sunday. I'm getting all giddy here. Don't mind telling you. What a game. What a game, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't watch this, what are you doing on a Sunday afternoon? Shocking effort. Take a look in the mirror at yourselves. Fantastic fare. Come on. Have a bit of this. Anyway, how do I see it? Home advantage. I'm with Greg. If this was at the LSV, I'm going 1-8, but it's not. It's at Craven Park, so I'm going 1-8 KR. You cannot split for me these two teams going into this game. The only thing, and I keep going back to it, and they'll probably prove me wrong again. If I was to pick a pack that at this moment in time just looks a bit more solid. If Mulhern comes in, and Steph will talk about that in a minute, there's rumours out that Mulhern is not as bad as first feared. That would be a massive win for Lee. But the pack at KR at this moment in time just seems to be in better fettle. That for me is where it is. I think the backs are even on both sides. It's the packs. Steph, we've literally got 4 minutes. So sum it up. Is Mulhern playing? And how do you see your team going at Craven Park?
No, I don't think he is. I think Frankie Holton's a massive miss as well in this game for Lee. I think you're absolutely right to say the packs. The pack is going to be where this game is won. I think Hull KR's pack is going to dominate Lee, unfortunately, in this one. I'm going to go Hull KR 9-17. I think the home advantage.
Wow.
It's going to be a great spectacle, this one. I think this is what Super League's all about for me. This is going to be a real humdinger of a Sunday afternoon fixture. But I just think at this time in the season, with the way Lee are at the moment with injuries, I just think Hull KR are the stronger side. I hope I'm wrong, obviously, but I just see. Morg is going to be a massive factor. Morg, I think, is going to be a really good addition to Hull KR's team, but that pack is scary. So I'm going Hull KR 9-17.
You wouldn't want to be Steph at the Leopards then the next time they're at home, would you? Deary me. But hey, you know what, though? I can see his point. So Joel backing the Leopards. Yeah, there you go. They'll be the Roarers. Next time Joel's there at the Leopards, then make sure
he's getting loads of beers.
Yeah, get loads of beers in for Joel, and then get an extra one and pour it over Steph's head. Shocking effort. Absolutely shocking effort for Mr. Sale, that.
Give your head a wobble.
Give your head a wobble, Mr. Sale. There is that little bit of me this year that thinks that Steph's doing this just so he can go, we're great, aren't we? We're a lot better than them.
Hang on. We're playing one of the best sides in the competition.
Absolutely.
And Hull KR are absolutely outstanding, so there's no give your head a wobble here.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Steph's best impression of Ronnie Barker in open all hours. Anyway, that's another story. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolutely brilliant conversation. We hope you appreciate the fact that, obviously, we couldn't put this out live because I'm working on Tuesday night, but we didn't want to let you down. We wanted to give you a Super League Raw Weekly. This has been Super League Raw Weekly. We hope you've enjoyed it. Of course, a lot of news will have probably come out between now and then, but we have got the captain's run for you, 6 o'clock. On Thursday, where we will get into even more detail on the round 5 games and maybe pick up on anything that happens between now and then. But on behalf of Greg, Joel, Steph, and myself, have a great week. Enjoy the social club on Wednesday. We'll be back on Thursday for the captain's run in the sheds. He's back all over again, of course, at the weekend. And we will see you live next Tuesday at 8 p.m. because after all, gentlemen,
you can't be a bit
week. We'll see you next time.
Take care.